Well, good morning, everyone. Thanks very much for being here, and welcome to this very special press conference we're having regarding a multi-million-dollar investment in Erie's critical infrastructure. We have several guests with us today. First, I'm very pleased to announce U.S. Senator Bob Casey here, back to Erie for a very exciting announcement. Senator, your leadership has been instrumental in securing millions of dollars in funding. We're very, very grateful for that. To bring this home a little bit for everyone, I just want to share a number. This all happened under President Biden and Senator Casey's leadership in conjunction with the hard work of my team since I came to office back in January of 2018. The federal government has provided funding for city projects and initiatives totaling more than $145 million. That is totally amazing to me. Senator, you have always had Erie's back. From the $76 million ARP direct funding to the city, $4 million for the EMI project, $21 million to build the grant for the Bayfront Parkway, and grants for our community-oriented policing initiatives and our bomb squad regional response vehicle. That name's only a few. You have come through for us time and time again, and we really thank you for that. You have delivered millions of dollars to benefit residents of Erie and Northwest Pennsylvania. And this does not even include the PPP funding, which helped our businesses survive the pandemic. So this brings us to why we are here today, to make another exciting announcement due to the leadership of President Biden and Senator Casey. This announcement will add to the $145 million that I already mentioned. Now, let's welcome Senator Casey to the podium and share this exciting news. Senator Casey.
Thanks so much. I really appreciate it. Well, Mayor, thanks very much, and I want to commend and salute your leadership of the city, in particular on the issue we're here to talk about today, which is about replacing old lead water lines in a city like Erie, but also communities throughout the country, urban and suburban and rural and everywhere in between. This was a major part, a major segment of the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act. And it's not just a nice thing to do to provide dollars for bridge replacement and repair, or investments in high-speed internet, or investments in water and sewer projects, and I could, as you can tell, go on. It's not simply a good thing to do once in a while. I would argue that any public official in a commonwealth like ours has a constitutional duty to provide that kind of funding for something as basic as infrastructure. And I cite a constitutional provision because we have one. Our state's constitution, in Article 1, Section 27, says the people have a right to clean air, to pure water, and to the preservation of the natural, scenic, historic, and aesthetic values of the environment. It goes on to talk about the common property of all the people in Pennsylvania, that all of us as trustees of the common property of our state. So clean water is a right. It's not just something you get to every couple of decades. It's a right if you're a citizen of this commonwealth. And the federal government for too long has checked out, been out of the business of helping cities and towns and states with their infrastructure bill. We can't ask a state like Pennsylvania on its own, within the confines of its own budget, to provide the kind of investment in clean water projects, just by way of one example, that the people have a right to expect. The federal government has to be in the game. So after 50 years or more, at least 50 years, of talking about it, presidents and members of Congress over and over again, talking and talking, finally, in 2021, we passed the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, which made it possible for a city like Erie to finally have resources to be able to replace those old lead pipes. So in this context, just imagine this: when you add up the both the grant dollars that are made possible by the infrastructure law, as well as the loan dollars, it's more than $30 million. The grant dollars being a little more than 25 million of that, and the loan amounts being about $5 million. So that's good news for the people of Erie. And as I said, this is not something that we should do every 50 years in terms of the federal role, the federal appropriations, the federal investment. This is something we should do every 10 years, in my judgment. So it took a long time, but we're grateful that we can announce today that these dollars are available. And especially when I consider what, Mayor, what you and other city leaders have done for years. You've been trying to do this. You've been trying to make headway on these clean water projects, and you haven't had the support that you needed at the federal level. So this is good news. Good news for the city of Erie and the people of Erie, but it's also entirely consistent with the constitutional obligation that all of us have as citizens of this Commonwealth, but I think a heightened degree of responsibility that a public official has. If you're an elected public official, and I know we have members of City Council here today with us and others who have worked and labored in these vineyards a long time to get these dollars, but if you're an elected public official at the federal level especially, and you represent Pennsylvania, I think you have an obligation to advocate for and to bring home dollars that will positively affect the people, and in particular provide opportunities for clean water for every citizen. So we're not there yet, but this is a giant step in the right direction. And I'm honored, Mayor, to be with you and your team to celebrate this win for the people of Erie and for clean water. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Senator Casey. I know your wife is here with you. Is this your first trip to Erie, or you've been here before? Okay, I know this is the first time we've met, but welcome. Well, we're very good to have you here. Thank you very much, Senator Casey. This $30.5 million in federal grants and loans is an incredible investment here in the city of Erie and will benefit residents within the city and even the surrounding communities as well. We can't thank you enough, Senator, for your continued leadership, advocacy, and assistance in securing this much-needed funding to make this and so many other projects and initiatives a reality here in Erie. Your commitment and support are truly incredible. Thank you very much again. While the city is in full compliance with the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency lead and lead and copper standards, Erie Water Works is committed to removing all parts of the system that contain any lead at all. I think that's really good. Specifically, they have been working diligently to replace all water connections that have lead goosenecks. So now I want to invite Paul Wojtek, CEO of Erie Water Works, to share his perspective on this initiative. I know that I've known Paul for many years, and I'm thankful for his leadership in this critical infrastructure project. Paul, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor. Good morning, everybody. As CEO, as the Mayor pointed out, of the Erie Water Works, I want to thank Senator Casey for all his efforts in getting this critical funding into Pennsylvania. The Commonwealth has also been fortunate to receive extra funding from the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law, or the Investment Act, that was unused in other states. And I know Senator Casey was very instrumental in getting some of those dollars reallocated to Pennsylvania to help cities like Erie. I also want to thank Mayor Schember and his team for his continued support of the Erie Water Works. His support allows the Erie Water Works to take the necessary steps to assure that the residents and businesses of Pennsylvania, with northwestern Pennsylvania, receive the finest water service possible. As Mayor Schember mentioned, for the past 20 years, Erie Water Works has been proactively removing lead service lines that we were aware of. More recently, though, with the additional funding, Erie Water Works was awarded $6 million. That will accelerate the removal of these sources of lead in our system. With this being the third round of funding, the total amount, as Senator Casey pointed out, is $30.5 million that we've received, mostly in grants and some in loans, low interest loans, 1%. So that's very helpful as well. And that will allow us to remove about 5,400 lead service lines from our system. That puts us at about 85% complete from a total removal of lead. As I said, those we should be up to about 5,400 lines removed by the year 2025, 85% of where we're heading. And we're looking towards round 4 funding that we believe will get us to our final goal of getting the lead out of our water system. And I would be remiss if I didn't thank our partners at Penvest, who've been there every step of the way with us, kind of shepherding us through the process. But it wouldn't be possible without the efforts of folks like Senator Casey at the federal level. So I want to say thank you, Senator, on behalf of the citizens, the businesses of Northwest Pennsylvania, for all your efforts over the past year or two since the law was approved, and helping us in a little reference here, getting the lead out of our water system. So thank you, Senator Casey. Thank you, everybody.
That's very interesting to know that this will be 85% complete.
85%.
And you're going to do round 4 to get it to 100%.
Yeah.
That's really, really, really exciting. Thank you very much, Paul. I appreciate the proactive approach you and your team and Erie Waterworks Board have been taking to ensure that our residents continue to have access to clean drinking water for generations to come. Thank you for everything you do and that your team do. We really appreciate it. Now, from Governor Shapiro's office, I'd like to introduce Autumn Anderson, Governor Shapiro's Deputy Director of Critical Investments. Autumn, we are happy to welcome you back home here to Erie, and the floor is now yours.
Good morning. It is exciting to be back home here in Erie. On behalf of Governor Shapiro, I'm excited to be in Erie to celebrate this transformative project the City of Erie, Erie Waterworks, Senator Casey's office, and Penvest have brought to fruition. The critical infrastructure investments highlighted today are part of a larger initiative of the Governor and Penvest to invest in Pennsylvania's communities by updating the sewer and water infrastructure across the state. As Senator Casey had mentioned, people have a right to clean drinking water. Every Pennsylvanian has the right to clean drinking water, which is why projects like this lead line replacement are absolutely critical to achieving environmental justice by ensuring clean water can be delivered to homes, schools, and businesses. Clean water is essential for thriving communities. And projects like this are proof that we can build better and get stuff done in Pennsylvania. Whether it's replacing lead water lines in Erie or rebuilding I-95 in 12 days, we can work together to build the infrastructure that is the backbone of our communities and our economy. And thanks to the once-in-a-generation investments from the Infrastructure Investments and Job Act that Senator Casey helped pass, Pennsylvania is receiving billions of dollars to fund this crucial work and create good, family-sustaining jobs in the process. The project we're celebrating today is an important part of that effort, and we look forward to seeing more great things happen in Erie. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Autumn. We really appreciate your guidance and assistance with this. It's great to know that we have a homegrown Erie native working hard in Harrisburg as well. We're very much appreciative of Governor Shapiro's leadership and support on critical investments such as this one. We look forward to continuing to work together on securing funding to implement key priority initiatives and outlined in the Infinite Erie Investment Playbook. Before I conclude, I just want to thank 4 members of City Council for being here with us. Chuck Nelson, currently President of City Council, Ed Brzezinski, Michael Keys, and last but not least, Melvin Witherspoon, who, when I was in high school, I would go to Gannon basketball games, watch Mel play, then I would go back to my gym and pretend I was Mel. I will now close by reminding everyone of my vision for Erie that my team and I are working hard to try to create. The vision is just 2 sentences. Erie is a community of choice. We celebrate our rich cultural diversity, our welcoming, vibrant neighborhoods, our world-class downtown and bayfront, our excellent education for everyone, and our abundance of good family-sustaining jobs. We cannot achieve that vision alone by ourselves by working in a vacuum. In order to achieve that vision, my team and I have become adept at working together with many community partners and our state and federal representatives as well. Applying for and administering grants is a lot of extra work, but my team is committed to bringing as much funding back to Erie as possible to enable us to implement transformational projects far beyond what we can do with our city tax dollars. This project is just one example of how working together can achieve so much more. Thanks again to Senator Casey, Governor Shapiro, and the Erie Waterworks team led by Paul Wojtek, who will continue to transform Erie and leave a legacy for the future. That concludes this press conference. Everyone who spoke is now available for interviews. Thank you all for being here. Appreciate it.